At first, people thought it was just a house. Then they saw the name written on the wood frame, and everything stopped. It wasn't just construction. It wasn't just aid. It was a story, a quiet kind of love story. Some stories don't begin with a drum roll or a headline. This one started with an earthquake, with walls that crumbled and homes that vanished. And it found new life in a small village near Inla Lake, Myanmar. But to understand this story, we have to go back. Back to a cold December morning in 2023, when Park Jimin, the heart of BTS, quietly enlisted in the South Korean military. For a year and 6 months, fans waited, patient, loyal, hopeful. And on June 11, 2025, he came home. But here's the twist. The biggest celebration of Jimin's return didn't happen in Seoul. It didn't happen with flashing cameras or backstage passes. It happened thousands of miles away, where a group of women, children, and families were handed the keys to something they never imagined getting back: a home. Jiminland Myanmar, a fan base of Jimin's in Myanmar, did something extraordinary. They didn't just count down to his discharge. They built. They fundraised. They dreamed bigger because Jimin had taught them to. From April to June, they didn't just click donate and walk away. They went there, to the disaster site, to meet the people, to hear their stories. They slept in tents. They worked with local volunteers. They didn't hand over help. They became a part of it. 8 homes rose from the ground, not big mansions, not fancy villas, but warm, handcrafted, traditional-style homes, each one designed with the families who would live in them. Some walls were painted in soft pastels. Some roofs curved just slightly to protect against storms. Each home was different because each story was different. And for the families who had been living under tarps or not at all, these weren't just houses. They were a second chance. One mother said, We thought we were forgotten. Now we believe again." Meanwhile, in Yeoncheon, Jimin walked out of his military unit as the sun rose. No press conference, no stage, just a uniform, a smile, and thousands of fans waiting to say, "You did well, we're still here." At the stadium gates, banners fluttered in the wind. City buses drove by wrapped in his photos. Digital billboards lit up downtown Seoul. Even soldiers who served with him smiled and waved. Because when someone like Jimin gives you light, you remember. But this video isn't about a pop star. It's about what he inspires. About fans who chose to celebrate not with noise, but with kindness, with impact, with empathy. It's easy to buy a banner, harder to build a house, but they did it. Because love, when real, always finds a way to do something. And maybe that's the real message here. That sometimes the strongest welcome isn't shouted. It's whispered through walls that keep the rain out, through doors that open into safety, through roofs that say, "You're not alone anymore." So welcome home, Jimin. But more than that, welcome home to every family who now has 4 walls, a roof, and a reason to smile. All because of the quiet power of people who loved deeply and acted boldly. Built with love, brick by brick. This is what hope looks like.